What's crack-a-lackin', kiddos and squiddos? It's your boy. Today, I'm going to be drawing every single Pokemon from memory. I started with this Pikachu, and I thought, you know what? I might as well record this. I might as well make this into an actual thing. Rules are, I can't take back any mistakes. First tries only. Have to draw it from memory. I have the Wikipedia up with just the names, and I have to base it off of that. I had originally drawn the Bulbasaur line from memory, but turns out I wasn't recording. So that kind of sucks. Here they are, loud and proud, all the Bulbasaurs, all the lines, and Pikachu right there too. I'm going to draw every single Gen 1 Pokemon starting now with Charmander. I had already started before I realized I was not recording, so we're going to pick up where I left off. So for Charmander, what I did to start out is I knew he had a round head shape, but I didn't think I could nail the bottom of his head all that well, because I knew how I was doing Bulbasaur and his whole line, and they turned out a little silly. They turned out a little goofy, just a smidgen. So I ended up just going off of just the CalArt bean head kind of deal. Think of Steven Universe or Dipper Pines or something along those lines. It's funny. I think it was neat. Clarence comes to mind. And he's kind of stupid. Yeah, he's kind of a stupid looking guy here. I made Bulbasaur, kind of looks high, and I was thinking, okay, well, if we're going off of Pokemon, all of their starters they all revolve around a central theme. I have no idea what the themes are, because I'm not really, the smartest tool in the shed. Not the sharpest tool in the shed when it comes to that stuff, but I figured, you know what, if it's my own Pokemon redesign, they're all going to have their own themes connecting each other. So, Bulbasaur, he's high. Looks like Charmander has ADHD here, and then for Squirtle, he's just going to go through some PTSD. He looks a little traumatized. You'll see it in a bit. But no, super fun to draw, super easy. Not my worst drawing. So for Charmeleon, I knew he had a stronger head shape. He had a more angular head shape. He had his little head dingle thing, and I ended up making his head just a little too small. So I was originally going to give him his anime eyes, because I'm pretty sure they're more square. I haven't looked at a picture of him yet, but I will in a second, because you see he's in the corner over there. The actual picture of Charmeleon, I mean. So I ended up just going with his little circle eyes and put him in a little cowboy stance. He looks like the kind of guy who's ready to fight, and he reminds me of one of the dinosaurs that would hit their heads together. They I don't know what they're called, but that's what he reminds me of. The ones with the weird crest over their head. And while I was making him, I just had the weirdest scenarios pop into my head. And I have no filter when I doodle, so if I'm talking to myself out loud, I'll just say whatever. I won't even think about it. And in my head, his scenario was he just got arrested for having possession of crack or something like that. And I feel like, yeah, this Charmeleon would 100% get arrested for that. Look at him. Look at his shifty eyes. His cowboy stance makes him look a lot more dubious. Maybe he's an outlaw. You never know. So here we are on Charizard, the big kahuna, the stage 3 of the starter, Charmeleon, Charizard, what's his name? Charmander, there we go. So when I was drawing him, I couldn't help but remember the anime, the original anime Pokemon, whatever, I think it's just called Pokemon, the anime. But in that, I remember his body being just so oversized, and his limbs were just, or at least his arms were just so proportionally smaller than the rest of everything else he had, and I thought that was funny. So I exaggerated it a little bit here in the doodle, as you see. I wanted to give him big ol' eyes, but I ended up filling them in. So in the beginning, he kind of looked like a little skeleton there, and there's no takesies backsies, so I kind of just ran with it. My whole thought process here just being, he just has no soul. You look into those dead eyes of his, and he's just like, oh yeah, he's setting fire to everything. He's burning your house down. He's listening to a fun little song while he's doing it. Typical no soul having activities as you do. I remember actually thinking that something along those exact lines while actually drawing him. I'm pretty sure my brain went to I was listening to Love Fool by, I don't remember the artist, but it's called Love Fool, and it's such an amazing song. It's so catchy. I was listening to it, and while listening, I just could not get the image of just like you're in a Pokemon battle with like an Arcanine or whatever, some dog, and he goes first and he just like sets it on fire. And you're just listening to the happy little song play as your poor Pokemon gets incinerated. And he's all like, okay, well, I don't know what to do here. You set my dog on fire, and you're listening to this happy-go-lucky little song here. So, I guess I kind of take my Poké Dollars and leave, But no, it's super, super fun. I'm actually pretty happy with how this one turned out. I feel like the colors worked really well. I guessed on the blue for the back. The only reason I picked it is because it was called Cerulean Blue, and I was like, still am 80% sure that Cerulean City is actually a city in Pokemon. And if that's the reason why it was called Cerulean City, because they used the blue for one of the Pokemon, I would just be completely stoked, totally tubed out. Tubular, geeked out, whatever. You know what I'm trying to say. But I feel like I nailed the color scheme here. I nailed the character design. Really happy with it. Only thing I think I would change is probably his eyes, but I don't know. I think they are kind of growing on me. So here it is, the Charmander line, the entirety of it. I think I did really okay. I can see a couple of I definitely missed a lot of key details on the first two, but other than that, I feel like I nailed Charizard pretty well. And we're going to be moving on to the Squirtle line, my personal favorite.
So, Squirtle, if you didn't already know, just because I already told you right now, so you should know, but if you weren't paying attention, Squirtle is my favorite of the starters of the Gen 1 Pokemon. I'm a sucker for the water types, and because he's my favorite, I figured I might as well do something a little special. I might as well make him the cool Squirtle with the glasses. I'm pretty sure they were W's, or at least in the shape of a W, because he's a W Pokemon. I had no idea the pose he was going to do. All I knew is that I wanted to put him on a skateboard, so you'll see that in a little bit. He's going to be on a skateboard, just chilling, and I think the shell took up a little bit too much of his body composition. I feel like if I were to move the shell to a more backward position rather than the sideways position, he might have turned out looking a little bit better, but I like how he turned out. I think out of all the Pokemon I drew, he's one of my favorites. Probably not my top tier favorite, just because it's less goofy. Even though he's wearing those sunglasses, he's on the skateboard. It looks like I tried a little too hard, and it didn't. I'm not saying that it's bad. Even though it is, because all of them are. Let's be perfectly honest, they're all bad. But I feel like this is just like a little kid who tried his best, and it's supposed to be good, but it's not. It gives off that kind of vibe, but I still like it. I still think it's pretty cool. I like the skateboard. I like the glasses, and I feel like the colors. The colors I got originally, I was gonna color him blue. That was just more war turtley. I think it was sky blue or whatever. And I catch myself. I color in his forehead, and it's just not the right shade. So I go over it with a different blue, and it's more vibrant. I'm like, yeah, this is more squirtly. Even though it's a little darker, not just a little, it's a lot darker than how Squirtle actually is, but I think it works out pretty well. I ended up using that other blue for Wartortle and Blastoise in the future when I do draw them. And I think Squirtle turned out pretty well in my opinion. I kind of like it. So for Wartortle, I already kind of knew. I feel like I know Wartortle a little bit more than Squirtle. His design is just a little bit more memorable in my eyes. I don't know why. I remember he had his little ear muff thingies, his little ear dingles, and I could not, although his design is pretty memorable and it's really cool and I like it, I just could not remember if he had a gun in his shell or not, or those little cannons. So
what I ended up doing was just giving him a gun, and then I based the whole character around that gun. So he's doing a little shrug, like he's playing it off cool, like, oh yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't shoot that guy. You shot that guy. And while I was drawing him, again, in my mind, I'm running all these scenarios, I'm saying it out loud. I ended up spending, like, I want to say 6 minutes just talking in character, just be like, oh yeah, Your Honor, you weren't there. Shut the hell up. You weren't there, Your Honor. And I was explaining to nobody that was his rationale for shooting the gun. He couldn't actually be charged because you weren't there. You wouldn't understand it. You wouldn't get it. I feel like I messed up this thumb on the gun grip. Nobody holds a gun like that, but hands are hard to draw, so I give myself a little bit of slack right there. I'm pretty proud of the little fingers at the end of the gun right there. I left some room, like very little bit of room for color in there. You can see it just there. And I don't know, I think it kind of turned out really well. This one's definitely a top 3 for me. Top 3 drawing that I've done. And I feel like he's just a goofy guy. I like his little beady eyes, little dot eyes, and I like his expression, his mouth open. And he just looks like something I would draw. It's really cool. I like it. Alright, Blastoise, my main man, the biggest of the kahunas. So for Blastoise, I feel like I made his design real simple. I was kind of going for the alligator snapping turtle kind of mouth. And I think it comes across pretty okay. It comes across, if you really look at it, you can kind of see where I was going with. But I really like the whole design. He just looks like a turtle. I put a lot of emphasis on his shell because that's the whole Pokemon right there, the gun shell thing. I give him tiny little pupils to show he's just like, oh, I'm stressed out, all the time. And I had, when I was coloring him, I had forgotten about his little patch, his little circle on his stomach, I'm pretty sure. And I had forgotten about it, and I caught myself mid drawing, so I ended up giving him his little circle a little too low on his stomach, I feel. Definitely not centered, but it works. It's not the worst thing ever. It still looks pretty good. I like it a lot. And I really like the shell and then the cannons right there on his back. I feel like I picked the perfect colors to draw, and I feel like his character just kind of works out. I didn't necessarily think of any scenarios, mainly because the songs that were playing it was just banger after banger. The most memorable just being Wham Bam Shang-a-Lang. Oh man, that's a bop right there. That took up pretty much most of my brain power, was just listening to Wham Bam Shang-a-Lang. And it's a great song for a great Pokemon right there. I feel like it was an excellent way to end it off. I like the amount of detail I went into here, and I really like the amount of color. I feel like it just all blends together really well, and I think I did a very, very good job. And that's the Squirtle line right there. I'm very proud of my work right there. I think I did really, really good. Here I am just gonna show off every single one. I think I messed up when I put Ivysaur on top of Charmander and vice versa and all that stuff. I'm really proud of all the work I did. I think I nailed it. I think I'm going to keep going. I'm going to make sure I get every single Pokemon. And if someone out there, an actual talented person, knows how to game design and draw like that, how funny would it be if you put those in an actual quote-unquote Pokemon game? Get a little texture pack going where it's just the hand-drawn, poorly drawn assets. I think that would be pretty funny. I would invest. I would buy everything you have there out of stock. I'd be like, yep, it's a real game asset. It's a real game asset. But yeah, I think I did superb. I like all my drawings. I'm gonna keep going, and yeah, I have a final message for you right here. I got a final message from you, coming live from directly after drawing all of that. You better eat your broccoli, goddamn. Oh, am I upside down? Hold on a second. There we go. Eat your goddamn vegetables. You better eat them. If you're not eating your vegetables, you're not gonna get big and strong, and if you're not big and strong, you can't fight me. On November 18th, 2036, you, me, parking lot. You better eat your vegetables. And drink the milk too, get some calcium. Okay. 34 minutes. That's a long time. I'm leaving. Goodbye. Farewell. Adios.